Speaking as a Hawks fan myself, the city of Atlanta hasn't really seen an NBA player with the star power of Trae Young since Joe Johnson or Dominique Wilkins in the 80s and 90s. And I believe that if Trae Young stays the course, he could surpass him as well. Being one half of what will go down as one of the most historic draft trades in NBA history, Trae Young's story involves an entire family of basketball players. Both of his parents, Candace and Rayford Young, both played basketball at Texas Tech. His father would then go on to play professional basketball in Europe. Growing up and attending Norman North High School in Norman, Oklahoma, Young wouldn't start playing basketball until his sophomore year. In his sophomore year, he would average 25 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds while helping his team win the area championship while also being named Oklahoma Sophomore of the Year. His junior year, Young would average 34 points a game while leading his team to the regional title and being the runner-up for the 2016 Oklahoma 6A championship game. And by his senior year, Trae Young would be averaging 43 points a game, along with 6 rebounds and 4 assists on 49% from the field. Along with being a top guard in the country, Young will also be a member of the 2016 USA Men's Under-18 team that went on to win a gold medal with a 5-0 record. This of course put him at the top of his recruiting class of 2017, being the second best point guard of that year. Being a 5-star recruit, McDonald's All-American, and a highly coveted prospect, Young would decide to take his talents to the University of Oklahoma. This would make him the school's first 5-star recruit since Tenny Gallen in 2010. Young would put up 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds in his debut with the Sooners, and it was only up from here. The young freshman point guard would quickly establish himself as one of the best players in the country with his sky-high offensive production. In his one-and-done season at Oklahoma, Young would average 27 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists while shooting 42% from the field, 36% from 3, and 86% from the free throw. He led the entire country in points, assists, field goals, and 3 points made, while also breaking the Big 12 record for most points formerly held by Kevin Durant, who was also a freshman. An accomplished college point guard following the Sooners' loss to Rhode Island in the 2018 NCAA tournament, Young would forego his final 3 seasons of college and declare for the NBA draft. Draft scouting reports for Trae Young noted just how skilled he was on the offensive end of the floor. He quickly drew comparisons to Steph Curry due to his style, how much he shot the 3, while also potentially having the playmaking ability of Steve Nash. He was just a fun and exciting player to watch, which is what exactly the Atlanta Hawks needed. However, while being an offensive juggernaut, his lack of size and length, being just 6'1", caused many to come to the conclusion that he could be a liability on defense. With being extremely skilled on the offensive floor, coupled with a high turnover rate, lack of athleticism, and issues on defense, this led to a great deal of people to label him as a high-risk, high-reward prospect, something which I definitely ended up believing around this time. Projections going as a lottery pick, Young would be taken with the 5th overall pick by the Dallas Mavericks in the 2018 NBA draft. He was then traded along with a projected future first-round pick in exchange for Luka Doncic, one of the biggest draft trades in NBA history. Trae Young would be joining the ruins of a Hawks team that was once at the top of the East that was now 24-58 the year before him joining. And now under newly appointed head coach Lloyd Pierce, there was much work to be done. Trae Young's rookie year would have a slow start, but would pick up a lot towards the end. He shot below 40% from the field 15 times within his first month of NBA basketball. His debut versus the New York Knicks is where he had 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 turnovers, while shooting 36% from the field in a loss. Young knew how much of a volume shooter he was, and his below-average shooting performances didn't really mess up his confidence. Towards the second half of the season, he won Rookie of the Month 3 times back-to-back-to-back. Trae Young would finish off his rookie season playing in 81 games, averaging 19 points, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds, while shooting 42% from the field, 32% from 3, and 83% from the free throw. Reeling in just 2 first-place votes for Rookie of the Year, Young would lose the award to his counterpart, Luka Doncic, but would still be on the All-Rookie First Team, along with Luka, Marvin Bagley, Jaren Jackson, and DeAndre Ayton. The Hawks would win just 5 more games with only 29 wins total and still finish 12th in the East while giving up 119 points a game, which just so happened to be the worst mark in the league. The Atlanta Hawks would now look to improve on defense. They would draft Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, and Bruno Fernando to continue on their rebuilding phase. Young would open up the season with almost 40 points in a 17-point win over the Detroit Pistons. A little over a month later, he would put up 49 points with 8 threes made, but this time the Hawks would still lose by just 1 point. Averaging 30 points, 9 assists, and 4 rebounds, while shooting 44% from the field and 36% from 3, earned Young his first career All-Star selection. Even though it was clear just how good he already was at 21 years old, the Atlanta Hawks as a team actually performed worse. In the shortened NBA season, the Hawks finished 20-47, which was only good enough for 14th in the East. It had me wondering just how in the world did we do worse than the New York Knicks? And the answer to that question is defense. While Trae Young was lighting it up night in and night out, there just wasn't any defense being played out there in Atlanta. They gave up the most points a game once again with 120 points for the second year in a row, while also having the 27th best defensive rating. I even remember the Hawks experimenting putting John Collins at center and just knew that it wasn't going to work. The Hawks also came to that conclusion too, which is why they went out and acquired center Clint Capella from the Houston Rockets in a massive 4-team trade that included 12 total players. So now that they finally got a presence in the paint, they could look to improve elsewhere. The offseason before the 2021 season is where we'd see the Atlanta Hawks become very active in free agency in order to build around Trae Young and their core. Signing Danilo Gallinari, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and later trading for Lou Williams would prove to be big moves in terms of catapulting the Hawks forward. Despite making all of these moves, the Hawks still struggled to start the season, and after a 14-20 start, Coach Lloyd Pierce was fired and Nick McMillan would take his place. Even though Trae Young averaged 25 points, 9 assists, and 3 rebounds, he'd actually missed the All-Star team this time around. Nevertheless, under new head coach Nick McMillan and Young leading the team, the Hawks would finish 41-31 for 5th place in the East to secure a playoff spot for the first time in 4 years. They'd been matched up against a 4th-seeded New York Knicks team who pretty much surprised everyone with how good they did, along with having Julius Randle, who had his way with the Atlanta Hawks throughout the regular season. With New York, of course, having home court advantage, Trae Young has still risen to the occasion in his first career playoff series. He joined LeBron James, Chris Paul, and Derrick Rose as the only players in NBA history to have 30 points and 10 assists in his playoff debut win over the New York Knicks. Trae wouldn't just stop there. He made the entire city of New York hate him for a playoff series. Averaging 29 points and 10 assists in his first career playoff series allowed the Atlanta Hawks to close out the Knicks in 5 games. Moving on to play the first-seeded Philadelphia 76ers in the second round, even with an injured Joel Embiid, I'm not really too confident as a Hawks fan myself that they'll be able to make it out alive, but anything is still possible. Trae Young has rejuvenated basketball in the city of Atlanta with his exciting play style while also bringing a winning culture of basketball back to the city. With him and the Hawks still being such a young team, it's only up from here. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, like and comment whether or not you thought Trae Young deserved to be an All-Star this season, if you think the Hawks will win the series versus the Sixers, and if you think Trae Young is already a top 5 player. And if you like me, subscribe.